Well, here we are, late January. What is it, the 23rd today, I think? Anyway, last Friday I did do an estate sale. I don't do many in the winter because it's slim pickings. Yeah, there's a lot of estate sales around, but most of them are things I have no interest in. Clothing and furniture and nonsense like that for the most part. I'm a tool guy, military items, things like that, phonographs, and occasionally clocks. So, this was no different. The sale was kind of slim pickings. We did get some good stuff, not to the usual volume of tools I'm used to, but there's a few things. We have a couple of auto wrenches. If they look shiny, it's because they've already been cleaned up and I put some clear coat on them to keep them from rusting. No name brand, just a regular one there. And this one is actually Ford marked. See the Ford on there? Old Model T or a Fordson tractor or something like that. Could even be Model A. Don't know. But they work and they're good. A couple auto wrenches. Kind of surprised to see that because this estate sale was not the home of a car guy. He was a barber, actually, but he was not into cars. Didn't do a lot of mechanic work or any at all that I could see. But still, there's some things there. I found some of these. These are Craftsman, like new condition. This one is actually made in France. I'm going to assume these are 80s or early 90s by the look of them. This short pair of needle nose pliers there. This is not Craftsman. In fact, I don't know what it is. It's no name at all. No name, not a single marking on the entire tool, not even underneath the handles. But, pair of flat nose pliers there. Pair of long, skinny needle nose. This one is Craftsman. This is BF Code Japan. Probably, I'm going to guess, late 70s, early 80s. It's always useful to me in my Victrola work and other things. And it's in really good shape. I found that in a kitchen cabinet, actually, when I was searching the house. The usual brace. I always seem to find at least one of them. This one, who made this? I forget. Let's see if I can show you. PS&W Company. It's been cleaned up and sprayed a little bit. It wasn't in bad shape. It was just mildly rusted. From being in the garage a long time, this is the bit that was with it. It's in good shape. We have a drill bit, a little clamp, some of these countersink things, also Craftsman, probably from the 80s. An LL Bean mini solar emergency radio. It does actually work. It's new in the box. So you got believe it or not, a $50 price tag on this. It's not that old. They paid for that $50. I got it for the equivalent of probably about $1. I don't know why I bother with DVDs anymore, as I rarely ever watch them. Nowadays, everything is streamed, but I know this was expensive. About World War II, the war, it's all there. Brand new shape. The other DVDs that were in the house had no interest to me, mostly chick flicks, things like that. But this looked pretty good. I'll find a home for it somewhere. And like I said, it's not like it cost a huge fortune. At one time, the gentleman must have done his own oil changes, because this is, as you can see, there's no name on it. Auto parts store special, I'm sure, but it's very well made. So it's probably USA. It's the oil filter wrench for big oil filters, like you find on big block Chryslers, in fact, is what that would fit. I forget the number of the oil filter, but that's what Mopar used back in the early 1970s. I remember having I still have a similar oil filter wrench like that somewhere. Let's see. This propane cylinder, brand new. It's full. This came from Lloyd Lumber, which was a local lumber chain, and it was here, they went out in the 1980s, I guess. This looks like it's early 80s, maybe late 70s. Always pick them up when I find them full because I will use them eventually. And then when I wandered into the rec room, I looked in the glass cabinet that housed the DVD player and VHS player and stuff like that. And I saw this clock. Now, there is no name on this clock. Obviously, it's pretty high-end. It's nicely made. It has a German movement in it, a 2-joule German movement. I forget the name of it now. But it looked like whoever had the clock was working on it. I thought maybe something might be wrong with it, but it was basically costing me next to nothing, so I took the clock anyway. I quickly figured out that somebody had replaced the movement in this, because apparently the movements for these clocks are still available from the German manufacturer, and they're like $400. I asked a friend of mine who does clocks, and he told me that they're like $350, $400. And I had to do some adjustments to get it. I mean, it ticked, of course, right away, but it wasn't keeping proper. Oh, well, not that it wasn't keeping proper time. The hands were loose because the gentleman who had passed on had been working on it, and he hadn't finished it. So I had to make sure the hands were not loose anymore, and I still have a minor adjustment to do to it. The chimes were not working because the chime block with the little rods was not reaching the hammers. He hadn't gotten to that adjustment yet. All I did was just raise the chime block. You're supposed to bend the hammers. I didn't do that because I don't intend to have the chimes chiming when I'm using this at home. Just distracting, especially late at night. But it does chime now, and it's 2 minutes off on the chime. I'm sure that's an adjustment. I'll ask my clock guy. He could probably tell me. But I'm not worried about it. It does actually keep very good time. Perfect time, actually. Which I would expect from a brand new $400 movement. I mean, you buy a clock like this with that movement, you're probably looking at, what, $500-600 or more? So I just plucked it out of there and put it in my bag, and out the door went. And there was another clock there, too. I don't know why I took this, but this is just a quartz movement. I had to buy a battery for it. What was interesting, it wasn't the clock itself. It was what it said on the back. This, I'll hold it up close so you can read it yourself. St. Mary's Parish, Freeport, Illinois. This is number 57, a piece of history. This clock is made from a pew removed in 1987. I guess they must have refurbished the church in 87, took out the pews and cut the wood up into these little blocks and made a clock out of it and probably other things. I'm sure this was some kind of probably a fundraising effort or something like that. Looks brand new, and it does actually work, and it keeps good times. No problems there. Not that I need another clock or really even needed this one, but they were available. They were cheap, so why not? What else was there? Let's see. Oh. This is a Lazy Boy, genuine Lazy Boy, ergonomic, leatherette. I'm sure that's not leather, but leatherette desk chair. That's $500 chair, $450 to $500 in a lot of different places where they sell them because it's Lazy Boy. It's name brand. I got that for $35, so I'm not complaining about that. I also bought a tiny Craftsman compressor, which is not here at the moment, and a couple of pipe wrenches that are still drying. I painted them, so they're not available at the moment. Usually I do these little reveals from the estate sales and flea markets right after I get back, or a day later maybe, before I unpack the bags. But it is so bitterly cold out lately and snowing and everything else that I'm not doing that. So I just arranged some of it here so you can see it. This was a wintertime estate sale. This is what I got. I don't know if you remember that lantern from the last estate sale. It is now painted. The holes in the bottom have been patched with liquid steel. It's full, and it's been holding there for weeks, so it's not leaking. It does work. It's a Dietz lantern, of course. And I think that's about. Did I forget anything? No. That pretty much covers it. Not a whole lot, like I said. Oh, yeah, there were some chemicals, too. I think there was a can of paint thinner and some power steering fluid, of course. There's always power steering fluid for some reason. What else? Was there anything else? I forgot. No. Oh, and mouse traps. There were 4 or 5 Victor mouse traps, USA made ones, so I kind of scapped those up. I don't need them because I have plenty of cats to kill the mice, but they'll find a home somewhere. Didn't want to leave them behind. Okay, there you go.